Just to let you know, my project was on a case study comparing the performance indicator profiles of tiers during the 2007 inter-county hurling season. So the background of this project was the project focuses specifically on the game of hurling. It's one of the major indigenous sports played in Ireland, Gaelic football being the other. And both are amateur sports organised by Clonluth Gael, the GAA, established in 1884. Riley and Collins, 2006, they believe this to be one of the oldest stick and ball games possible, and the game possibly predating early forms of football. Clare et al. Informs that the game is not equally established in all counties, therefore a tiered structure of competition was introduced in 2005 to try and create a more balanced structure between the teams competing. And according to Bradley and Donoghue, 2011, research into hurling is not as popular as the more established big games. Therefore, coaches have a tendency to look at similar team invasion sports for their research, and most of the time this is Gaelic football. So the aims and objectives of the project: the aim was to establish if there was a significant difference between the teams playing at Tier 1 and those playing at the other lower tiers, so below Tier 1 within the Senior Championship. According to Martin et al. And Bradley and Donoghue, this type of analysis could instruct future coaching practice and coach education, and then by identifying trends and norms, could inform and enhance the preparation of hurling teams, increasing the limited research to development hurling. The objective then was to try and find a way of breaking down the non-stop sporadic nature of play of the game of hurling. So within my study, a play was started whenever the ball was thrown in at the beginning of each half, or from a restart, so when the team took a puck out, and then it finished with either a ball going wide or a score, a point or a goal. Within each play, this was broken down into possessions, where a team takes possession either when they're taking it, win it from the throw-in, they start it from their goalkeeper hitting the ball out, or whenever they turn over their opposition. So that would mean a new possession within the play. The methods in order to try and do this: the case study focused on 10 games from the 2017 inter-county season. It was on Tier 1 versus Tier 1, so there was 5 games of them, and it compared it to 5 lower tier games. And as I said, the lower tier games were classified with any games played below Tier 1. And Hughes and Franks, 2005, and Carroll, 2013, informed that this use of graded games justifies results in relation to the quality of the opposition. The study, through looking at alternative team, by looking at alternative team invasion sports, to draw out hypotheses which could be tested and referenced. This case study was able to compare performance indicators recognised in academic papers and those established by myself. From these indicators, operational definitions were used for data collection, so the tagging of the relevant analysis from the games, and this led to 6 performance areas being used within the findings. The apparatus being used was video footage of the games, a laptop and an external monitor, and the Windows Media Player for playing the videos through, and Microsoft Excel for recording the data on, and the SPSS program for doing the statistical analysis. The procedure was the post-game data was sourced from television, competition organisers and participating teams. Match video was then inputted into a pre-coded tagging panel developed by myself in Microsoft Excel using the definitions. The pitch positioning was completed by creating a Visual Basic code to gain an X and Y coordinate on the field of where this had happened. And the duration of possession was quite simply done by coding the time coming off the video and working it out back from. The data gathered was then transferred into a pre-formulated table in Excel using pivot tables and charts to report chart reports, and this filtered down to collect the performance variables. Now, from that data, obviously we had to do the data analysis of this, and this was done, the comparison of tiers was conducted as O'Donoghue and Holmes 2014 indicate by analysing mean data counts, so taking the average, standard deviation, so how above or below that was in the average, and stabilising of data via a Mann-Whitney U-test to gain a probability p-value. And here we're looking at a probability of less than 0.05 through the SPSS package. And this indicated, according to McGuigan 2017, a stabilisation of the statistics collected. Reliability then was tested via the variables were checked for outlying errors after coding of each half. So whenever I would code the half, it was put into the next table, and from that there we were down to see if there was anything outlying. If there was, then the next 5 plays after that were checked as well to make sure it was correct. Also, as referenced by O'Donoghue and Holmes, again 2014, all performance variables inputted were tested via an inter-operator test for observational error. So myself and another independent analyst analysed one half of a game and checked it for reliability. So we had a percentage error test here, and also the correlation coefficient reliability test showing a high degree of 0.999 for reliability. And that takes me into the findings. So within the findings, the comparison of Tier 1 to other tiers indicated the following 6 performance areas. The table here is basically highlighting the main differences. So within my dissertation, I have all the tables in it and referencing the appendices, or the appendix, and the ones with blue in it showed a significant difference. Okay, so if you take the scoring measures, for example here, agreed with Puttel and Clear that the number of scores and shots, total shots, pose distinction between the tiers. The other tier teams need to increase their number of shots, and especially their number of points scored, with an emphasis on this being from play. So there was very little difference between what they scored from set pieces or frees, but from play, Tier 1 teams were quite significantly better. The breakdown of plays and possessions, Tier 1 teams are also more efficient here. They have significantly more plays. So they play in more plays during the game, so they have more shots that end up in either a dead ball or a score, and they turn over less possessions within their games. They have a higher percentage of shooting and scoring from less possessions. Within the restarts, so again restart was the puck outs here, Tier 1s have a superior ability to secure their own restarts and are less likely to lose possession. They have a greater ability to attain more scores from these. So as soon as they strike the ball out, they can win it and get a score without losing possession first of all. And they're especially more efficient whenever they hit this ball short compared to Tier 2 or the lower tier teams. The possession starts, the turnovers, this looked at just looking at possession where the team had lost it, so you gain possession from your opponent in some way or another. And overall, Tier 1, the Tier 1 teams, although starting less possessions, as I've mentioned, created more scores from these. And as highlighted by Grant et al. 1998, Tier 1 teams are more efficient from possession started within their own half. So if you can think about it, when the ball comes into your own half and around your half back line, more defensive, you win the ball there, there's more space for you to try and create, to open up the other team's defence. Within the second last one here, the effective pass count, averaging in around less than or equal to 2 passes, Tier 1 teams utilise less passes from restarts, and significantly more passes, averaging equal to or above 3 passes after gaining possession from turnovers. This acknowledges Bates' study in 1988 that the most effective way of passing was forward and as early as possible. And finally, looking at the length of play and possessions, this indicated that most scores were within possessions of less than 20 seconds. Therefore, agreeing with Hughes and Frank's 2005 analysis, and that the fast transition from defence to attack was more productive. Now, this contradicts Bradley O'Donoghue and McGuckin's findings, who found that the success in Gaelic football was for longer possessions. some of these going over 30 seconds and heading towards the minute mark. And Tier 1 teams are more superior scoring after gaining the ball within 10 seconds. So coming into my conclusions, the findings would suggest, in line with Peterson and Cook 2006, that play and possession data can be used to analyse performance. Peterson and Cook's analysis was on American football, but it did come up similar here. The number of scores and total shots were significant scoring measures between the tiers, and teams should focus on creating practice plays that concentrate on restarts from for and against, and possession starting from turning over their opponent, especially within their own half. Long and short restarts are required to be contested, with emphasis placed on gaining a shot and score rather than just hitting the slitter for the sake of it. And as I mentioned, the 10 within the effective pass count was to keep this low. Therefore, possession-style games would appear that they have little or no benefit to hurling with regards to preparation, unless, of course, that there's a clear focus here. So, for example, 3 to 5 passes utilised within a play and the outcome of a shot. And coaches should utilise these plays and possessions where the ball is in play not more than 10 to 25 seconds. With repetition on these shorter, more intense times to improve performance and then ultimately improving their conditioning. The other tier teams should improve their shot accuracy, maintain their scoring ratio from set plays, and then also improve their shooting from play, with a lot of emphasis in the lower tiers, emphasis on shooting from outside the 45-metre line, so longer range shooting. This would develop possession gained within their own defence due to the frequency of their occurrence. And then finally, increasing the number of plays involved in the game. So they need to get involved in more plays where they're getting a shot that's either going wide or a score out of, and hence shortening the number of turnovers and possession starts within these. With this focus, this would improve their efficiency from possession shots. And possibly then future reference or future research should include a more in-depth analysis of tiers for all games played over one or multiple seasons. There's a few limitations obviously within the study. The easiest one to comment on was because of the limited time we had to do it. There's only certain stuff that you can focus in on. So I hope that there's what I've done within my study. But it only had a focus of 10 games. So obviously the easiest one would be is to have a larger quantity of games be indicate or confirm levels of significance found within this work. The start and stopping of possessions within the game also proved to be an obstacle. This happened whenever I was doing the observer test, and we found that there was issues on the times that I was using to start and stop the game compared to what another guy was doing. But as I was the only one analysing the games, this sort of limited that. And then the last two limitations were on the number of restrictions. There were a number of restrictions for using post-game recordings, the likes of replays and showing different highlights. And then there was also an issue with the match coverage that there is for the other tier games. So the big games, the most popular ones are up on the TV. The game recordings for the lower tiers, unfortunately there is we have to get them all for our own analysts. And that's me.